Data presentation techniques. Graphical presentation of data. This is a method of presenting our data using graphs. Throughout our discussion, there will be two main considerations to be tackled. First is a data requirement, or the type of data for each chart. And the other one is the emphasis of our data. There will also be some guidelines to consider when constructing these charts. First type of chart is a line chart. A line chart displays information as a series of data points connected by a straight line. We use a line chart to represent our data when we have time series data, and our emphasis is on the movement. Here are some guidelines to consider when making a line chart. First, our vertical axis should always start at 0. Let me show you two charts using the same data. Figure 3a starts its vertical axis at 0. By looking at it, you might be tempted to cut the vertical axis because of the large space beneath the line. Excel tends to do this, which gives us figure 3b. In here, the vertical axis starts at 51.9. The line might look interesting because we see the drastic movement of our data. But take note. Starting at another value gives us a distorted representation, since if we take a closer look, in reality, the difference between the observations is very minimal. Thus, the chart on the left is more accurate than the one on the right. Next is the ratio of the height and the width of the plot area, which is supposed to be 2:3. Here is a scenario. Let me show you three charts using the same data, but having different height to width ratios. Figure 2a has an estimated ratio of around 4:2, while figure 2b has an estimated ratio of 2:5. Another chart is this one, which demonstrates a good grid proportion and has a ratio of 2:3 with respect to its height and width. Looking at these three charts, we can say that the first two are stretched out vertically and horizontally. Hence they convey a distorted depiction of the movement of the line, making them incorrect. On the other hand, the third one shows the most accurate image of the data, therefore, it's best to follow the 2:3 ratio. But always remember, this ratio guideline is only applicable for a line chart. Another type of chart is a combination of a line chart and a column chart. Same as a line chart, its data requirement is time series data, but this time it requires two variables, or scales. Its emphasis is not only on the movement, but also on the magnitude as well. The guideline in constructing this combo chart is quite similar to the line chart, wherein the vertical axis should start at 0. And the ratio of height to width of the plot area should also be 2:3. The third kind of chart is the pie chart. Pie chart is a circle divided into several sections, or slices. This type of chart requires qualitative data, and it should be for a specific period of time. Its emphasis is to show the component parts with respect to the total in terms of the percentage distribution. And speaking of total, it should always be 100%. When constructing a pie chart, we should always place the biggest slice at 12 o'clock, then arrange the pie slices according to magnitude. If there is an others category, place it last. Also, a specific pie slice may be exploded, but only if we want to highlight or emphasize a certain slice. A bar of pie chart is a type of pie chart that has a bar attached to it. Same as a pie chart, it also requires qualitative data for a specific period of time, but its emphasis is not only to show the component parts of a whole, but also to show the components of a specific pie slice. For the guidelines, we should also arrange the components of the bar according to magnitude, and we may explode the pie slice with the components. Same as the pie chart, a donut chart is also a circular illustration of data, but it is more space efficient because of the blank space inside it, which can be used to display information such as totals. With regards to this chart, its data requirement and emphasis are the same as that of a pie chart, which is a qualitative type of data for a specific period of time, and it also shows the component parts of a whole. For the guidelines, we should also place the biggest components at 12 o'clock, arrange the slices according to magnitude, and place the others category last. But this time, we should also place the total in the blank space inside the donut. The next chart is a column chart, sometimes called a vertical bar chart. It is a graphical representation or visualization of measured data in the form of vertical rectangular bars. This chart requires either time series data or categorical data, or qualitative data for a specific period of time. It emphasizes the magnitude of our data. Same as the line chart, the vertical axis should also start at 0. Another thing to remember when constructing a column chart is the gap width. The usual space, or gap, between bars should be around 1/4 of the width of the column. You may be wondering why 1/4. This is because we want our columns to be close to each other, especially in time series data since they are correlated. We also need to remove the grid lines when we already have data labels. Why? This is because they have the same purpose to guide us in estimating the values in the graph, and we also want to keep our chart clean and uncluttered. Lastly, we should also use solid colors for shading and avoid waving or unconventional patterns. Another type of bar chart is the horizontal bar chart, which represents the data horizontally using rectangular bars. It requires the same data as a pie chart, which is categorical data for a specific period of time. But this time, its emphasis is the same as a column chart, which is on magnitude. When constructing this chart, we need to remember to start our horizontal axis at 0. Also, the spaces between the bars may be 1/5 to 1/2 of the width of the bar. It is not as strict as a column chart, because the categories are independent of each other, unlike time series data, where the observations are dependent or correlated. We should also remove the grid lines when we already have data labels. And lastly, we can arrange the bars according to magnitude, either increasing or decreasing. Lastly, we have the population pyramid. A population pyramid, sometimes called an age-sex pyramid, is a graphical illustration of the distribution of population by age groups and sex. The reason it is called a pyramid is because it typically takes the shape of a pyramid when the population is growing. To make this type of chart, we need data with two variables, age and sex, for a specific period of time. We need these two variables because we will be emphasizing the magnitude of the age-sex distribution. In doing this, the age group should be on the vertical axis, while the count is on the horizontal axis. Also, we should use two different colors to distinguish sex, whether male or female.